Good morning. Morning, the Fisk. Morning, Troy. We got another week ahead of us here. And it looks like we got quite a few on watch today, actually. Morning, Eli. We've got three stocks up over 100%, and then two more stocks up 70 to 90%. Hopefully, another week of green. So, although STKH shows a 3 billion share float, this is most likely not correct. What does it say on here? Doesn't say what the float is on here. I think this was continuation from a previous move. And I looked at it on Trade Zero before, and it was not a super high float. But it doesn't particularly matter what the float is if we see price action moving quickly. That's what we care about. Morning, Drew. We have STKH, it's interesting. JWEL, if it pops up above 450, that'll be interesting. DJYL, maybe a pop through VWAP could send it through 477. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of stuff today. The only issue is that there might be some dispersed attention. We'll have to try and pay attention to most of these stocks and see which one of them actually pops up at 7 a.m., if any do, or which one's going to end up being in focus. You're showing 424,000 float? Yeah, that's probably right. I think I remember this one moving very quickly on a previous day. Morning, Corey, Vito, Dynamos. Pretty good. I had a decent sleep. I just sat down. I got myself a coffee. Trying to get on a little bit earlier than I usually do. Trying to get on 15 minutes earlier, 10 to 15, just to make sure everything's working before I sit down, so I don't have issues like I did last week. Morning, Bert. Yeah, we got the coffee. PBB, PPBT moving. It doesn't seem like it's any volume. Bit cheaper as well. I want to keep my eye on the stuff that has the potential to move here. Morning, Sinos. Uh-oh, that's not good, Dynamos. I think it's not just me who's been having tech issues recently. I've heard a lot of people just having random tech issues with a lot of software. I don't know what's going on. Morning, Lauren. Morning, Tex. Pretty good. I picked up a bunch of books to read for trading. So I didn't get to read through a significant portion of any one of them though, because I was pretty busy this weekend, but we started reading Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. That one's pretty interesting so far. So we got 2 minutes to 7 a.m. Yeah, sure. What I was thinking of doing was because the only two books that I've read so far in full were, like in terms of trading books, were um, Trading in the Zone and Best Loser Wins. And now I'm reading, I picked up maybe 8 more books to read. So probably what I'll do is I'll just, as I'm reading them or after I'm done reading them, I'll make some notes about what the book was about and like if it's for beginners or advanced traders, like at what point they should read it in their journey, and then some of the key takeaways and what I thought the quality of the book was. Probably do something like that as I read all of them. Yeah, Trading in the Zone and Best Loser Wins are both really good books, classics that a lot of people have recommended me. So I just read them a few weeks ago. But I'm gonna pick up a bunch more books. I have eight to read now. That'll keep me for a while, but I'll keep reading them. Morning, Santa. Morning, human. You read Ross's book? I remember watching his book on YouTube because he has it for free on YouTube, from what I remember, just like an audiobook thing. And it was good. But when you sit through an entire course, there's not really anything new that you hear in the book. For someone who has never taken his courses before, it's probably very, very good. But so we have ZJYL popping through UApp. And then just dumps. Looks like it's not holding view app. Yeah, I picked up quite a few books to read. Um, Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, I'm reading right now. Um, Reading a couple of the books that Ross recommended. Thinking in Bets, and there was another one that I don't remember the name of right now. Picked up a few ones that Lance B recommended. So like Market Wizards. Can't remember all of them right now. I picked up one of Brett Steenbarger's books. I think it's called Playbook. Oh yeah, I picked up Dark Pools. And probably pick up some more. I didn't pick up Quit by any Duke. Not yet. I picked up Thinking in Bets. I'll think about when to quit. Like I know the general idea of what the book is about because Ross talks about that one so much. Like I see this popping through, but it's got higher volume selling on the 10-second. AWEL. Oh, sorry. I'm tapping the back of my mic with my hand sometimes. I'll stop doing that. I didn't think that you guys could hear that. I'll tap my table instead. So I'm watching JWEL to see if it continues to hold here and then maybe pop through this pivot of 438. But I'm not entirely optimistic considering that we had all of the stocks that we were watching at the open pop up and then fail. At 7 a.m. I may not be open, but Yeah, I did the recap about him losing 70 over 70 grand. Yeah, I did. I kind of felt like if even the God lost money on that day, then I probably made the right decision not to take any trades. Everything was just jackknifing that day. Everything was super choppy. The only kind of clean move was on Nui. Everything else was hard to touch. And even Nui had a history of jackknifing and it was really choppy. So, you know, kind of sucks for him that he ended the day like that. But Ross will bounce back. He always does. I certainly don't feel like he does it on purpose. I'm not sure if there's anyone in the world who wants to take 70 grand on the nose. Okay, so this is popping now. It's really strong. So I'm looking for pullback to see if it holds a level here. I'll take a position, stop of around 525, just 50 shares. See if we can get the bounce back up. Hmm. Seems like there's a lot of sellers up there. Yeah. Let's see if it get out on the ask. It popped up there and it got slammed back down by sellers. So I have a feeling that this needs to do a bit of a longer pullback. Let's see. Does it hold 514? Holding maybe 525. Got bought up off of 514. Feels like there's a lot of sellers up here. Mm. Yeah, we're waiting to see if it can give us a clear signal. Otherwise, it just feels like that it's popping up and then getting pushed back down. What is maybe flat? Maybe if it breaks 575, it's kind of a flat top. Morning, Jay. Like it's finally failing. There's just too many sellers on it. NXTC is right underneath the 200 moving average. Yeah. This stock was just really choppy and there wasn't particularly an entry signal for me anywhere other than this first pullback. Maybe if I was fast enough I could have bought like just for the break of the pivot. But I remember it spiked up really fast there. But morning, Kingman. Oh, you got stuck in that? Darn. Morning, Illyrius. Yeah, it was acting weird, and then it just randomly broke through the pivot. And I was cautious because we've had so many other stocks fail this morning already. They popped up to their pivot level and then just rejected. This one popped through the pivot, didn't do a micro pullback until it was already up through high of day. And then just went sideways. Just a pop and then sideways. I see this thing is moving, but it's 235 million share float. I'm good on ABCL. Nice job, Island. This is still our leading gainer, and it's forming a 5-minute bull flag with a pretty big bottoming wick. But MACD's still negative on it. A little bit of a problem. I see this moving now, but it's still a little bit lighter on volume. The broadcasting company. No news. I think I'm good on that one. That 5-minute candle did end up forming like that. So above 530 is the first candle to make a new high on the bull flag. MACD's still negative. I'm doing it subconsciously again. I'm tapping the mic. My bad. I gotta stop doing that. Old habits. Yeah, we might need a new stock. We can consider my trade for the day. Like it says green $1, but that's gonna be eaten by my commission. So we're basically break even. It's almost as if we didn't even take a trade today. So if we get a new stock, I'll just consider my hands clean. Well, on Schwab, I think that you might be able to call your broker and ask them to remove the restrictions. If you haven't done that already. Morning, Amira. Yeah, they might ask you some questions, but I don't know if there's any particular requirements of length of time to have traded or anything like that to have the restriction removed on Schwab. But still is a potential option. Six months? It's not too bad. I really wonder when this Chinese stock craze is going to end because most of the stocks that have been moving is pretty much all been Chinese stocks since June with no news, and it doesn't make any sense for them to even be up other than someone's pumping them. Oh, they do, Momentum Trader? Yeah, that would be kind of annoying if one of the stocks that are just blocked ends up going up 1,000%. So this is trying to come back up. MACD's still negative on it. I guess that kind of makes sense then, right? They want to make sure that you're not just a customer that's going to blow their entire account in one trade. So they give you a time frame. So that does make some sense at least. But still annoying for us. Yeah, that's crazy. That's practically unusable. If it was 6 or 7 stocks a day, something interestingly enough, um, Trade Zero kind of has something similar for their margin. And I don't know if it's just Trade Zero. It could be Canadians in general because of Zero and their restrictions do have influence over what stocks you get margin on. But basically, I'm probably never going to be able to trade with margin on these small cap stocks. Eventually, I might end up calling. Like if I go to Centerpoint or anything and I actually do want to use margin on Centerpoint or whatever, maybe I'll call them and ask them like if I can still get leverage on small caps, but most of the small caps I just can't use. They don't allow leverage at all. This is attempting to curl. It's 7:30. I don't see any news. I see SLN, the float's too high and it's too expensive. I think it's a biotech stock with biotech news, but it's probably on a no trade for me. 40 million share float. MACD on this is pretty close to crossing. Kind of have a pivot above 537. Yeah, it popped up really quickly there. I tried sending an order, but for some reason it didn't go through. Got a big topping tail. The high was 621. Yeah, my trade zero is doing the thing again where it's not sending orders. So I don't know what to do about that. I'm just gonna have to hotkey into trades with auto send or something. That's really annoying. I was about to take an order at 575 there as it popped up to 6. You could probably hear it on my stream because my Black Widow's so loud, but sometimes I use my bill without auto send and then I press the enter button to execute the order, but twice just now the enter button didn't work. First on that pop and then second just on that pullback. I'm just gonna have to hotkey in and hope I don't get filled too high. I usually use 10 to 15 cents offset, yeah. My offset wasn't the issue there. It's just that my platform is just not sending orders on when it should. Like I've used this platform for a long time now. I sent hundreds of trades and I've never had this issue about it just not sending the order when you press the button until now. Like in the past couple of weeks. I don't know why it's doing that. I mean, do you use auto send hotkeys or do you just like what I do, for example, if you look at my level 2 right now, right? I use setup orders. So for example, shift Q is setup quantity 200 in my level 2 window, 10 cents above the ask, and then I press the enter button to send the order. The reason I do that is so that my limit price is set to 585. If price suddenly spikes up $1 a share, I'm not going to get filled, and I won't enter in $1 per share too high. Compared to if I press a hotkey where it auto sends the order when I press the hotkey, if price does spike up $1 a share the moment I hit the order, then it will fill me all the way up there, which is why I don't like using them as much. But the issue I'm having is when I'm pressing the button to fill out my order in the level 2, and then I press the enter button, which is supposed to be the send, execute my order in the level 2 window, sometimes it just doesn't get sent through. Maybe I'll just have to be like Ross and click on the buy instead of pressing the enter button. Because that is an option. I can just click the buy button. But I don't like doing that as much as just using hotkeys. So I have to be aware that I'm a little bit annoyed now. I don't want to just FOMO into stuff. But this is pulled back pretty far. I'm not sure about this kind of bull flag pattern here. And a big rejection. So the bull flag pattern would have worked. Even just for a quick scalp off that rejection. Big yikes. It would be nice to get something fresh that's not Chinese and chopping around on the backside of the move. Because there's going to be a lot of people getting chopped up like they were on Friday. Loading up the order and putting it out there once. I see it's coming close to it and it normally fills. So using hotkeys to instantly buy in the ask. So you do use the load and then do you press the enter button to send the order, or do you actually click the buy button with your mouse? Yeah, there's probably no issue when you click the buy button. For some reason, the enter button specifically is not sending the order sometimes. I think it probably has something to do with when when you press the load hotkey, you see how the quantity is highlighted. Sometimes when you go up and down, the price can be highlighted. Probably has something to do with the window focus. But it wouldn't have any issues if you're clicking. I probably just have to click with the mouse, even though I don't like it as much as just using a hotkey. Because I have to find the buy button on my screen and then hover over it. So this is a bit cheaper stock. Really high volume selling up there. Hmm. I normally don't like trading penny stocks. Hopping around between 140 and 150. Yeah, it's harder to read level 2 when you got so many buyers and sellers stacked up like this. It's really thickly traded. Like, I'll admit that this is probably in focus right now, considering that everything else is pulling back. But I don't know. Morning, Kamara. I'm sort of having a feeling that this is a sub VWAP trap if it breaks back up over VWAP, over 135. Yeah, I should have hit the button. Should have hit the button. But I'm aware that I'm kind of annoyed right now with my mental state because I just missed those moves because of tech issues again. So I feel like I'm lowering my quality standard to trade a penny stock because of FOMO. I just kind of don't want to hit the button. Look at that. Would have been a great winner. 20 cents. Nice big old topping tail up there. Yeah, it's starting to feel like FOMO Monday, Drews. I'm trying to wait for something fresh now, but yeah, I mean, I would have taken, if I did take this trade, I would have taken 200 shares. That's the size that I would trade for a penny stock. Probably would have been the entry around 134, 135. Probably 15-cent winner, 30 bucks. But I mean, this is not an A quality setup. So it's true that I would be lowering my quality standard to trade this when I'm annoyed, which isn't good. Oh, what is that? AUD. Over 1 million shares? Yikes. Here's a huge seller up there. Look at that. Someone is really trying to push that thing down. But you know what's interesting? I just saw that 1 million shares, like half of it just got eaten up by buyers. 120K. Well, you have to add 2 digits to it, right? So right here, this is 12,000 shares. Or, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it was 4 digits. If it was 5 digits, it would be a million shares. It's just very rare to see that. I don't know about Webull. Some of them, some brokers do have the 2 digits cut off, and some don't. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your comment, Rita. I was thinking about something else. I pay below 100 shares a flat fee of about 50 cents per order. So it's about $1 per trade below 100 shares. Above 100 shares, I pay 0.005 cents per share of commission on marketable orders. It's free if it's a non-marketable order, meaning that it doesn't create an immediate match when you send the order. If it's sitting on the bid or the ask, then it's free. But for my strategy, that's not really a factor. So I'm mostly paying either the flat fee or 0.005, which is half a cent a share. I suppose the way to put it would be $0.005 per share. Well, Trade Zero is pretty expensive in terms of commissions. I think Ocean 1, I'm not sure about Ocean 1 because it's banned in Canada, so I haven't really looked into it. Same with CMEG. I mean, I don't really know what the commissions are on most US brokers because I just don't have access to them, so there's no point in me researching it. I suppose there would be a point in me researching it so I can answer questions, but it was never something that I heavily looked into since I just don't have access to them as a Canadian. So we got 8 a.m. coming up here. Hopefully we get something fresh that's tradable. I'm not sure, I know Ocean 1 is a Bahamian broker, but it's banned in Canada. I don't know what CMEG is, but it's not available in Canada. Yep, both of them are. I knew Ocean 1 was, but I didn't know about CMEG. Yeah, okay. Hmm. Good morning, Zach. Ironically enough, if I had just traded this penny stock, I would be up on the day right now because we have a pattern here. We have a sub VWAP trap. We have a double bottom here. And then we have a retest of VWAP. And now we potentially have a pattern up here if it breaks that. At 165 level. It's just so grindy. feel the FOMO setting in. A lot of nonsense levels on the daily. Get rid of that. Hmm. I mean, up to 180, it still has 20 cents of room to move, or maybe 15 cents. On a penny stock, I'm usually risking about 5 cents to make 10 cents if I enter. And this is now our third leading gainer. MACD's close to crossing though. Should you trade mindfully when I say that I feel FOMO setting in? In psychology, that makes me FOMO for real. You say I'm having thoughts of FOMO. I see what you mean. But what I mean when I say that I feel FOMO, it means that um, I'm being conscious of the fact that I'm feeling something I shouldn't be. That doesn't mean I want to act on it necessarily. Like even though I'm watching this, I'm doing pretty well of just not touching it. In fact, I should probably click off of it or I'm going to continue to feel FOMO because here's another pattern that would have netted me, you know, 5 or 10 cents here, depending but this is, B quality stock, not the right stock to trade. Here would have netted me 15. Here would have netted me another 15. Here would have netted me 10. Right? But I don't normally trade penny stocks. I don't normally do well with them. Yeah, I read Trading in the Zone. I haven't read Trade Mindfully. That's probably on my list of books to get. Trade Mindfully is a little bit more expensive. Even the Kindle ebook was like $70. Google search it. Yeah, I read Best Loser Wins as well. Another classic book. Trading Trading in the Zone and Best Loser Wins are two of the ones that get recommended to me the most. No, that's don't email anything to me that's illegal. Pretty sure that they don't allow redistribution. So, and if I'm gonna read it, I might as well buy it. It's not like I can't afford it, but I appreciate the offer. Everything's more expensive in Canada. Everything's in US dollars. I have to multiply it by 1.4. Hmm. I mean, this is kind of doing a double bottom on the 5 minute. MACD's crossing positive, but anything fun to do up here in Canada? Well, if you like the outdoors, there's plenty to do. There's like I live in Ontario. I don't know the BC or the Alberta area as well, but there's, tons of hiking trails, mountains to climb. If you like fishing, there's tons of freshwater lakes, lots of campgrounds, tons of outdoor stuff you can do and places to visit. And like Canada's a very beautiful place. The only issue is that we're having a lot of forest fires right now, so you kind of have to be careful about where you go. And they've been dying down, but there's still a little bit of an issue. Canada isn't really a match for the States in terms of like theme parks or anything like that. So mainly the outdoors. We have a lot of Americans come up here during the fall to go fishing and stuff, visit the campgrounds, dodge the bears. Well, we mostly have black bears up here. I suppose in like the BC area, if I remember correctly, they do have grizzlies. I can't remember, but in Ontario, we mostly just have black bears. Grinding higher on AUUD. What you got to be wary of is not the bears here, it's the bulls. The bull moose. The bull moose is nasty. Way more dangerous than bears. Oh, you got charged by a moose? I've never been charged by a moose, but I've heard stories of people getting chased up trees by moose. Yeah, hot springs are good too. You're already down 1.5% Corey. Yeah, it's been a really choppy day. It's kind of like Friday all over again. We have a few Chinese stocks that made big moves that are kind of on the backside, just chopping around, curling, trying to curl. So I think we're kind of having a test of patience right now. And I'm just waiting for something fresh, I think. Up north in Quebec, there's a wild animal pet farm. Interesting. But is it a female? Was it a female moose or was it a male moose? Because I think that female moose aren't as threatening when they get used to humans, but male moose are like in their rutting season, they're just like, you know, extraordinarily aggressive. So I think you can have female moose just fine. But there's a reason why the Canadians never rode the moose into battle. They're just not really tameable. Australia has tiny spiders? I thought Australia had big spiders. Nice momentum trader. Got the Happy Meals going. You're really tempting me to trade it. I almost got tempted. It would have earned me some Happy Meal money, but You're from Northern Ontario, Zach? That's cool. Got some fellow Canadians here. I fought a moose once and won. I fought a gorilla once and won. Slapped him down. Can't handle me when I have my power up hat on. Yeah, we're already at 820 and there's like nothing in my criteria right now that I'm interested in trading. We got 9 minutes to 8:30. You know, I see that so far of the three psychology books that I've read, all three of them talk about how patience is one of the virtues of a disciplined trader. Even in Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, I'm only a quarter of the way through the book. He talks about how he felt the need to trade all the time, season in, season out. But he realized that if the time doesn't call for it, then that's what the suckers do. They feel the need to try and force money out of the market when the market isn't presenting opportunities. For some people, AUD and these penny stocks, I guess, present opportunities for them. Momentum Trader made his Happy Meal money. But it's not an opportunity for me, because if I get in this, I'm likely just going to lose money on it. I suck at trading these penny stocks. They're not in my strategy. How has the market been? I would say that we're in a hotter market right now. Like if I had to do a spectrum from, you know, extremely hot to extremely hot being the way it was back in June right after the PDT rule change when the Chinese stocks were just popping everywhere. That's probably the max of extremely hot. And then extremely cold is like something pops and then it immediately gets shorted and your scanners are quiet other than like the occasional pop and shorts just pushing it down and then you have to wait for something to hold up. Like, that was the way it kind of was back in December. Then usually around that time penny stocks are more in focus. That's like the extremely cold time. So we're not extremely cold, we're not extremely hot. We're somewhere in between. And I think that we're on the closer side of hot than cold, so probably like a 6 or a 7 because we've been having in the past couple of weeks, we've had so many opportunities, right? If something pops up, traders are willing to jump on it. Each trader has an edge trying to learn Ross's. Well, yeah. And Momentum Trader just said 11 years ago traded penny stocks, made $80,000. Yeah, it's just that what I mean is that as long as you're objective about your edge and you're not trying to force trades outside of your edge, then you're doing fine for yourself, right? As long as the trades that you're taking have expected value, then you're fine. But um, for many strategies, there are periods where you have to wait for the opportunities to come to you. You can't force those high EV trades out of the market, just trading all day, every day, right? There are some people who trade from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and they lose money because they're constantly trading because maybe the majority of their trades don't have EV, maybe a small fraction of them do. But what's important is just to make sure that whatever your strategy is in particular, you're taking only trades with EV. And you're not trying to force the market to give you money. You're just taking the opportunities as they're presented. That's all. Head and Shoulders on JWEL. Oops. Yeah, back here was a reverse Head and Shoulders for sure. This pattern right here, sort of. Well, this would have been like supposedly the second arm up there, right? It just ended up failing. It's Charts Watcher Ben. If you're interested in my setup, I do have a video uh, on my channel from a couple weeks ago now that goes into my setup in depth. But it is Charts Watcher, not Day Trade Dash. By the way, I did make a post recently over the weekend on Sunday um, which asked for feedback on something that I've been working on, which is a checklist for small cap momentum progression learning. So if anyone isn't aware of that and they haven't already checked it out, check it out. It's just an extreme rough draft that I'm working on. And it's not going to be released anytime soon or anything, but it's intended to be something that you can just print off as you're learning and then check off different topics. I have 4 tracks, 4 learning tracks you complete at the same time. I'll probably make it for free at some point. It's going to take me a long time to complete, but if anyone has any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I can try and work on that or include it. Guru? I don't want to be a guru. That's why I'm making it for free. But I do want to provide some value if I can to help people out. And it's not like it does nothing for me. It helps solidify my own foundation as I'm writing things down, or if I decide to make videos or shorts on certain topics based on my own understanding, it would help me out anyways. But I don't want to go too much into the education side until I've proved some consistent profitability. Because people would look at me and go like, well, you're not even profitable. Why would I listen to you? So we're focusing on our own trading first, but it's just something that I'm working on the side and I may eventually release. So I just wanted people's feedback while I'm working on it so that I can maybe add some stuff if anyone has any suggestions. So JWEL is curling again. Doesn't seem like we got anything fresh at 8:30. So this might end up back in focus. Hmm. The big selling candle in the 1 minute that's forming. I really don't like the feeling of hovering my mouse over the buy button. I feel like I'm gonna accidentally click and buy. Don't sneeze. Oh God, I hate it. I don't like it. Like I have to watch it with focus. And when I'm focusing, sometimes my hand clenches. My hand might accidentally clench over this mouse and press the buy button while I'm focusing on the level 2 or the charts. Like above 540 it might squeeze, but yeah, it's like just click the button already. Just click it. What are you waiting for? Oh boy. I mean, it's been consolidating this long. I don't like we have 50 seconds left on this 5-minute candle that's forming a doji. What does it do here? All right, I'll take a position. We got a big seller there, but we have a 5-minute candle close. Top is going to be like 530 or so. Hopefully that big seller gets out of the way. We're closing in 2 seconds. I want to see what it does here as it pops back up to 550. No, I just have to stop out. Let's see if that was maybe just the wrong timing. Because we have that 5-minute candle closed there. I felt like as it popped up over 540, it was going to squeeze back up. But the backside of these stocks are just so ridiculously choppy that it's hard to find the right entry sometimes. I honestly thought that this was a very high probability trade because you see, right before I entered, we dropped down to 518, but we got bought back up really quickly, and it broke 540, which was, you know, kind of this flat top of these topping tails. And we just closed on the 5 minute as well with a hammer. MACD was still positive, higher volume buying than selling. I honestly thought that this was a pretty high probability trade, but it still didn't work out. So, you know, it kind of just is what it is, but yeah, it's way too choppy. This is also our leading gainer, up 240%. Size up your fries. Very nice. Is it penny stock time again? Penny stock focus time. Ew, that 1 minute chart doesn't look very nice. Ugh. I suppose while we're waiting for something to actually move instead of chopping around, I'll put in chat the titles of some of the books that I've bought recently. I have them on my phone. So those are the ones on my reading list right now that I bought. There will certainly be more. And I've already read these two. Trading in the Zone and I've already read those two. Trading in the Zone and Best Loser Wins. Those were both really good books, but they're for more like intermediate to advanced traders once you start having psychology problems and stuff. Like some of them are not for beginners because like there's not much point in reading psychology books until you've developed kind of a strategy and a strategy with an edge that you're trading and you're having trouble executing that strategy because of psychology. So I would say that there are times to read these books, right? Like maybe not read them all right away when you're a beginner, the psychology books, but then once you start having trouble with psychology, then it'll speak to you a bit more. No, it's not about shorting. It's a book by Tom Homan. He is a really renowned trader. And he talks about his experiences and stuff and about how people often fear when they should be hoping and hoping when they should be fearing. And about how some of the most really successful traders add to their winning trades, whereas the losing traders add to their losing trades, things like that. Yeah, I'm liking Reminiscence of a Stock Operator so far too. I'm like a quarter of the way in. It's really neat hearing about the way things were back in the 1900s with all the bet shops and stuff, the bucket shops. What would be my biggest request? Allow me to draw on my side charts. Or sorry, allow me to draw on my main charts and then have that automatically saved to my side charts. That was the most annoying thing for me, is that if you draw on the main chart, it doesn't duplicate to the side charts. Also, please make your platform less expensive. There, that would be my biggest request. Make it not $280 Canadian per month. Thank you. And maybe I would consider using it again. You read Quit? Yeah, I mean that might eventually be on my reading list. Certain books are gonna be more valuable to me than others right now. And Quit is one that Ross Cameron recommends a lot. And I mean, I've taken Ross Cameron's courses and he talks a lot about some of the principles in that book. So it's less important for me to read since in his education kind of already instilled some of that stuff in me. But it's probably going to be on my reading list in the future. Well, the charts plus the scanners is $197 USD. And we have to multiply that by 1.4 as a Canadian to convert US dollars to Canadian dollars, right? So $200 multiplied by 1.4, about $280. And then we have to add on top of that GST, which is tax, sales tax. Actually, I don't remember if sales tax was included in that. It might not be since it's US. Processed in the US, you might not collect GST, but $280 anyway. Well, Charts Watcher still kind of does have the same issue that Day Trade Dash does, except you just have to refresh the charts. So when I draw on the main chart, if I have side charts on a separate dashboard, you have to refresh the chart for that drawing to appear, which is annoying in its own way. But at least the drawings do carry over. Canadian pesos. Morning, Ronald. From Texas. Good old Texas. One of my friends is moving to Texas. Trader View? You mean Trading View? The platform that I'm using? Yeah, on Trading View, this button right here. You see it on the stream? Yeah. New drawings are replicated to all charts and all layouts and shown when the same ticker is selected. So this button right here fixes that. So when I draw on the main chart, if I have it on a side chart, it duplicates right away. So I don't have to worry about, like, if I click off of this chart to look at something else, I can look at the side charts and all my drawings are up there. So this is popping. I just don't, I don't know. It's so choppy. Yeah, look at that rejection. MACD's still negative. I feel like I'm just gonna get chopped out if I trade these. I want something new. Oh, you hit F5 on the side charts window? Is F5 the refresh button? Yeah, I was willing to give Charts Watcher a fair shot on last Thursday, right? When I opened it up, I was, gonna try and deal with the annoyances, like the very small annoyances that I had, to see if it's worth using it and then saving myself a little bit of money on TradingView when my TradingView sub expires. But then I started having those issues with it where my 10-second chart was flashing, it was lagging, my volume bars were just randomly at barcoding. I don't know. I'm still gonna have to decide on that. I do like TradingView in the sense that it's also very nice to look at on stream. When I trade with Charts Watcher, there's a lot of wasted space as well with, like, the extra, millisecond bars and the linking buttons and all that. Whereas you don't really see that here on stream. And there's one master drawing tool. So it's less messy trading view. But it does save some money if I wanted to use it exclusively. Morning, Jaden. Welcome, Harris. Thank you. Hopefully we get something at 9 a.m. here. I mean, I'm red on the day, but I'm honestly not upset about it. Well, earlier on there were two trades that I pressed my enter button and my enter button just wasn't working. So I should be green on the day, I think. But I'm not upset about being red because I think that this was a high probability trade, even though it didn't work. All right, break above a pivot level, higher volume buying than selling. It was our top leading gainer for the day. We just had a 5-minute candle close. It just didn't work. So, I mean, what can you do, right? This is a little bit disappointing that how many opportunities I've missed in the past couple of weeks just due to technical issues, though. Like, I tried to get in on this pop back here, but my enter button didn't work. And then I tried to get in on a pullback, and my enter button didn't work. So, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. It's not my keyboard. You've been struggling with discipline? Get green, get red, get green. Anyone know Ross's P&L? I'll have to pull up his stream to see what he's traded so far. He's probably green today. He normally is very careful after having a big red day. You don't stop while I'm green and you keep over trading. And do you want my advice on overtrading? I can give you my thoughts about like how I stopped overtrading. If you want. I'm just opening up Ross's stream. So I used to trade quite a bit. Let me see what's going on with Ross first, and we'll go into a tangent maybe. Yeah, he's green. What is he at? Oh, he's at $61,000 for the day. That's just insanity. On JWEL. Well then, excuse me. I didn't think that today was a $61,000 green day. But he's trading with huge size still. I'm surprised he didn't size down after that red day. One of his last trades was... How many shares is that? He traded with like 80,000 shares. Yeah, his exit was around 6. Around 580, 550. I don't. I'm actually surprised that he traded with 80,000 shares after taking a $70,000 red day like that on Friday. Very interesting. ONFO, is this moving? Yeah, I don't know why he would trade 80,000 shares other than FOMO after having a $70,000 red day. And depending on my charts washer plan, I can change the refresh rate. Yeah, I just don't feel like it's worth the extra cost to have tick-based refresh rate because you don't really need it. Like I'm not watching the side charts when I'm in a position or I'm watching the level two. I don't really feel like it's worth it. Anyway, to answer your question, Amira, since it doesn't look like we're getting anything, I used to overtrade a lot, but I didn't exactly realize I was overtrading, and I kind of compared what I was doing to Ross, and I realized that most of the time Ross isn't trading that much. So I kind of had to build trust in my strategy and figure out what, like I had to focus on stock selection first. Like that was the first thing, right? Stock selection. Am I trading the right stocks? So one of the things that helped for me was reducing my criteria down by a lot to what I considered to be a stock worth trading. So for example, uh, don't trade anything that's not a top five leading gainer or moving quickly and is about to be a top five leading gainer or in the top five leading gainers. Don't trade anything below a certain float. Like we want quick, fast moving stocks that are in traders' focus. So don't trade anything above 10 million shares for a float. If you want to reduce that even further, then reduce that criteria down to 5 million shares. You're trading only the stocks with the lowest floats, right? Restrict your price ranges a little bit. If you don't do well with penny stocks, don't trade penny stocks. If you don't do well with stocks over $10, don't trade stocks over $10. Trade stocks in the range that you do the best with. Um, Volume, make sure that there's at least 100,000 shares of volume in your 1 minute candle before you take a position on something that's moving quickly, right? You don't want to jump in on stocks like this that have 6,000, 20,000 shares of volume that are popping up because exactly what happened here can just happen. This is mostly just algo trading, right? And the bids can fall down from underneath you instantly, which is very risky. So by restricting your criteria in your stock selection by a lot, suddenly you remove a ton of the nasty trades that you don't want to be taking. As long as you follow those rules, there's um, your first way to cut down on a lot of those things. And if you don't believe in those criteria, then what I did was I started mapping all of the opportunities throughout the day. Every single day, I went through my recordings and I went through an Excel sheet and I mapped which stocks made at least 50 cent moves or, a certain percentage of moves that I would consider taking, like 20, 30, 40, 50 cent moves. And I recorded their float. I recorded whether they had news or not. I recorded what their price was. And what I generally found was that um, the criteria of stock selection that Ross trades, low float movers between $2 and $10, all of that stuff ended up being the same, right? I basically confirmed his theory. And so that suddenly became a belief for me because I put in all that work and I realized that yes, it's true. These are the criteria that usually make the biggest moves. So if you're struggling with belief, then do the spreadsheet thing. If you're struggling with just over trading in general, but you still believe, that his criteria is correct, then restrict your stock selection criteria a little bit. After you've done that, if you still feel like you're over trading, then the next thing to focus on would be stock like setup selection. Like, are you trading the stock at the right times? Right? Is MACD positive? Don't trade it unless MACD is positive. So you eliminate a ton of trades just by that criteria alone. If it's not positive, you don't take a trade. Another thing would be, yeah, this is a crazy move from $1 all the way up to $4 and then all the way back down. 5 million share float, our leading gainer suddenly. Um, So you have MACD for setup selection, and then you have, for me, my criteria for considering to take an entry are one of three things. Is it breaking out of a range? Like, is it breaking something like a pivot, or breaking a daily level, or breaking VWAP? So there's your first edge. Is it breaking something? Is it breaking a level? Is it doing something out of the ordinary? The second is it breaking high of day? Or is it near high of day that a lot of traders' attention are focusing on it? And or is it making new highs? And then the last one is it moving quickly? You know, is it move? Did it just move like 50 cents in the last candle? And there's a lot of volume coming in. That restricts what you're allowed to trade down by a lot as well. So if you follow those things, you should find that your criteria is restricted a ton, and there might only be a few opportunities per day. And then at that point, you restrict it down to only the A quality stuff, and then you kind of work the process backwards to start adding trades back, adding more setups, adding more scalping opportunities. So, I mean, this is pretty incredible. We have this gigantic topping tail, and now it's holding the 9 EMA here. Partners with 3i Technologies. There's no setup on it for me yet because there's no pullback yet. But hopefully that answers your question there, Amira. Yeah, no problem. So I'm wondering, like, where is an entry here for me? Like, this chart is extremely odd. There's nothing back here. The low of this pullback is 187. Is it a blue sky setup? No, it's not. Um, Looks like there's a daily level at around 250. 37. We got 1 minute left on that 5 minute candle. Continuing to hold, but it pops up there and then it kind of does a rejection. I'm honestly not sure what this is doing. It has some resistance around 271. I don't want to just FOMO in because it's up 500%. But whatever this is doing on the 1 minute chart is something that I don't see very often. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's a good entry somewhere. Hmm. Yeah, like I'm not sure what exactly is happening with this. It hold 270. Got higher volume selling on the 10-second and that pullback. Isn't that interesting? Look at it takes 2 taps to move my price. It's the exact same thing that happens with my enter button. The first one doesn't function, and then the second one, or no, second or third one sometimes goes. Huh, that is very interesting. There's something wrong with Trade Zero. Hopefully they come out with a new update. Because that's never happened before. It's not my keyboard. Did it not halt? There are no circuit breaker halts in pre-market. It can go as high as it wants. MACD is close to crossing on this. $265. Have a good one, Troy. Yeah, I don't really know what to do about this one because it's moving so odd. It just looks like algo trading. So usually when something is moving odd, my resolution is not to touch it because I can't predict what it's going to do if I it's not behaving like other stocks. He said he was going to start off with small size, but then he traded 80,000 shares. MACD's negative now. Huh. We got 50 seconds left on this 5-minute candle. Yeah, he made back everything he lost on Saturday or Friday. It's just kind of insane. He did, but it's kind of crazy to go from small size to 80,000. He did trade this stock, yeah. He traded it somewhere down back here, I think, right after this big huge topping tail. Probably just had something to do with the fact that it was suddenly our top leading gainer and it was holding the 9 EMA pretty well, like the 10-second 9 EMA. So, I mean, it's not a part of my setups. I don't just jump in like that, but maybe it's something to look at in the future. I mean, the news catalyst is great, right? Partners with 3i Technologies to expand industrial mobility solutions for Apple-based frontline operations. So, I mean, just on the news alone, you probably could have just jumped in as close to support as you could. But I don't really have that data intuition yet to just jump in like that on after it does a huge topping tail like that. And it's behaving very oddly, so I don't really know what to do about it. I mean, the 5-minute bull flag would be above 265 if this were to continue. MACD's negative though. We got a couple minutes to market open. Very close to market open. I'm afraid that the halt bands on this are going to be tiny, considering it started at 37 cents. 35 cents. Looks like Doggo wants something from me. What are you doing? You wanna go upstairs? No, no hesitation. There just wasn't a pattern for me. That's a part of my setups, right? I don't have the educated intuition to just jump in on anything, even if it is moving up this quickly. There's no pattern on it. It popped up, did a huge pullback, and this is just kind of a ruined chart for me at this point. It's just like grinding higher. So if I don't know what a stock is doing, like I can't predict what's going to happen on it, I just don't touch it. It's just the way I trade. Yeah, the halt bands on this are tiny. He's telling me to lock in. No, he just wants to go upstairs. Hey, buddy, he just wants to go upstairs. He probably hears somebody upstairs. You want to go up that bad? You want to go up that bad? Okay, I'll send him upstairs. Uh, all right. All right, have a good one, Eli. So today is a pretty tough day here. So I see STKH trying to pop up there. These are so far on the backsides of their move that it's going to be a little bit difficult to trade them. SDKH and JWEL. And SCKT is up 500%, but this is going to be halting around all day because of how cheap it started. The halt bands on it are really tiny. So I think I'm kind of just stuck with the red day, honestly. It sucks because we had a no trade day Friday, and then Thursday we had a red day as well. And I don't think I really made too many mistakes today. I mean, I thought that red trade on JWAL was a high probability trade that just didn't work for whatever reason. And I had sent 2 orders previously on trade 0 that just didn't execute. So, I mean, it kind of just it is what it is red day. I mean, $17 isn't that bad. It's certainly not something I can't make back tomorrow if I just continue following the process. But it's a little bit unfortunate. Have a good one, Vito. And clearly, I mean, some people might think I'm crazy for not trading SCKT, but this is outside of my wheelhouse. Like it started below $1. I don't trade it back here. Popped through $1, popped all the way up to 4, and there's no pattern here on the backside of this big shadow candle here for me. I paid attention to the 1 minute for maybe like some sort of pullback. But it didn't feel right the way it was trading. Felt like it was being traded by algos. A 6 hour drive? What's the best audiobook for a good car ride? Someone might be able to give a better book than me, but one of the books that I picked up recently that I started reading as well is called Dark Pools. Ross told his stream once, or it was on his YouTube channel, that he read Dark Pools when he was out on a sailboat, and that it's a pretty fascinating read. About the rigging of the stock market, the U.S. stock market, and the rise of machine traders. Oh yeah, you take the highway. What is going on with this? I've never seen this resumption quote here before. FPHIL. 271. I've never seen that. If you look at other halts, like for example SDKH, it doesn't show that. I don't know why that's showing on this. It's on Spotify. Very nice. That's something that's one that I have in my library that I'll be reading. Have a good one, Devin. BIVK. This was not up enough on the day for me. On the backside of these moves. On a bag holders on the way up. Hmm. It did make a nice pop there. I suppose we'll see what SDKH does at resumption here at 9:42. It might give us an opportunity for a bounce off of VWAP. Morning, Rafi. This one did bounce off VWAP, but with higher volume selling, so there's no entry for me. AWEL is moving at the same time. It did the exact same thing. It popped up, higher volume selling, and then it's moving anyways. Pretty odd. All right, have a good one, Chimera. I'm studying the price action of these in market open, and I mean that's a bull flag pattern that just dumped. Very interesting. This one's still moving a little bit with quite a lot of buying volume, actually, but it's kind of grinding. We've got this pivot above 560. Yeah, breaks and it goes all the way up. Quite interesting how differently some of these stocks trade at market open because it breaks people's stop orders and then it just spikes all the way up 50 cents instantly. False halt. One of the problems that I have watching market open is that there's usually so many things moving all at the same time that it's hard to know what to focus on. So right here, I think was actually like an okay entry for the bounce off of VWAP with that double bottom. But I had switched to watching JWEL because it was popping up and it looked better on the 5-minute chart. Because a 5-minute chart at this point, oops, it was just a big red spinning top. It didn't look very nice, right? To me, this looked like it was pulling back, like right around here when I started watching JWEL. But this bounces off and then moves up anyways, even with this gigantic spinning top selling candle. But JWEL failed, so I kind of was watching the wrong stock around the time that this was bouncing back up. Kind of felt like I had missed my entry on it. I think I looked back at this around when it was above 5, like 505 in this area. But it wasn't too far away, but I would have preferred to get in closer down to VWAP at 475. Gapwire? I haven't heard of Gapwire before. A nice job on SDKH though. Interested in Ross recap? Yeah, that's something that I'll be interested in as well. Like, why did he jump in there? Well, I mean, look at the volume. It's like barcoding for me. Like, there's not really, like on the 1 minute at least. I wonder about the 10-second. If we're looking at it right here, like probably around this time is where he jumped in. Maybe like this is sort of an ABCD pattern holding the 9 EMA. But this selling candle was actually higher volume selling than the previous candle on that spike. And then you have higher volume selling than this previous pullback candle, and then higher volume selling than this previous pullback candle. So for me, looking at this, like I don't see a good entry on this. That's not risky. Like when I do see, sometimes when I do see this sort of horizontal price action, right, where it's just continuing to grind higher and higher with higher volume, like this kind of higher volume buying as it's climbing. Sometimes that is an indicator that the stock is very strong, but it's not a part of my entries, not a part of my setups. Thanks, Jegpad. I appreciate that. Now this is going into a halt down. You entered at 908.42, so I'll hold on 2. That is true. If there's a lot of selling volume, but price, I guess that's that sort of divergence. If there's a lot of selling volume, but price isn't moving, then that means that there's a lot of buyers absorbing that selling volume. On the opposite side, if you have increasing buying volume, but price is failing to break, that could mean that there's a hidden seller. So you're right. It's just a little bit difficult to think about that in the moment, I suppose. I've gotten very used to it on the selling side, like when there's something in my way, if I'm in a position. But on the buying side, um, it's not something that I consider as often. No, it's not. It's probably like less than 1 million shares, honestly. It had this recent reverse split here. I don't know why it's not updated on ChartsWatcher. Um, but I think it's probably like less than 1 million shares. Based on its price action. Like usually when you see a price action moving like a low float, even though it says that it's a higher float, you probably just consider it to be a lower float. This is the problem I have with trading at the open though, is that the price movements just sometimes they don't make any sense. Right? This pullback did make sense here for the bounce off of VWAP, but we halt up and then we resume and dump when yes, we kind of double topped there at 630. But does it really need to be so dramatic? It's because the market orders and the stop orders make the stock so whippy that people are afraid to hold their positions. They don't want to get caught in a halt down. So they set their stops at the low and then they get stop hunted, and I don't know. Trading at market open is just feels a lot riskier. And now this is just halting down, halting up, halting down. I think I'm just going to accept the red day and be done, honestly. I think that today was just unlucky. Kind of like Thursday. Thursday was an unlucky red day because things weren't working properly and I missed CLRO, and then I took 2 trades on the backside of the move, got chopped out. Today I missed 2 trades early on in the day because my keyboard wasn't working. And then I ended up taking a trade on the backside of the move later in the day, which ended up being a loser, even though I thought it was a high probability trade. So I think I'm just done. I'm not going to trade market open and force anything. We're going to come back tomorrow and hopefully we get some actual fresh moves that are clean moves and not a 500% pop and drop. You know? I think as long as we follow our process, we can still have a green week. A $16 red day on Monday isn't a big deal at all. So thanks to everyone that stopped by today. I'm going to shut it down. I'll be back at it again tomorrow, 7 a.m. as per usual. And hopefully we get some clean price action tomorrow. Have a good one, Harris, Phileas, Chimera, Corey, Big Pad, Cumin. One thing you've noticed with red candles is that if it previously had tons of buying, the red candle doesn't equate to buy volume. Yeah. Maybe I have to think about that more. But yeah, have a good one, Tex, Apothecary, Martin, Kingman. See you tomorrow.